Welcome back, everyone, in my new Kahani series where I am talking to every new author and writer and storyteller and listener who just love stories and who just love to change and hold the dynamic thing to change the uh, life of everyone around us. So here we are with Megan, a dynamic content writer with a sharp focus on the SaaS industry. Megan blends creativity with strategy to turn complex software solution into compiling stories that engage, inform, and convert with year of experience in writing. For top tier SaaS brand, she is understand what makes user tick and how to communicate it with clarity and impact. Whether it's a blog, white paper, or website copy, Megan craft content that not only rank but resonates. So, hi Megan.
Hello.
So first of all, give the brief introduction to my viewers that about your work and about your content creation journey.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be on your podcast and to be able to chat more about the thing I enjoy most, which is writing. So thank you so much for having me. My name is Megan Bouton. I'm originally from the UK, where I studied healthcare actually. So I was working as an occupational therapist. And then I met a French guy and my whole life just changed. And I married him and I moved to Paris and I did not speak a word of French. Like I had no French at all. And I couldn't work as an occupational therapist, and I was thinking, well, what could I do as a job? And I've always enjoyed writing, and so I was thinking, is there a way for me to make money through writing? And I think I sent off about 70 job applications or something crazy. And then finally, an amazing company called MailerLite gave me my first chance with a junior role. And I've now been in the SaaS industry for 5 years. And I just launched my own freelance writing business last year called The Paris Writer. And my French is better now, but I felt like I wanted to stay in writing because I really enjoy it. So I'm still here and it's great.
Okay, so you have like some qualifications in engineering field or content writing?
No. I studied occupational therapy. I studied healthcare. So I mean, maybe some of the skills are transferable, but it was totally different. So I did it from scratch.
Yeah, that's give me a new perspective that to our viewers that it is not necessary that you have to be qualified in the content writing and the SaaS world. It just you have to be focused about what you write and what you thought. And so please give me your brief journey, like how you start everything, and being as a mother, how can you tackle everything hectic schedule?
It's definitely a balancing act, and it's never 100% perfect. Like I don't want people to think I have this perfect motherhood freelancing thing balanced. I think every week is different. Generally, I have a rhythm where I work in the mornings, so I'll maybe wake up with the baby at 6, spend time with her until about 8 or 9, then she'll go to sleep, and that's kind of when I start work at about 9 a.m. I have an amazing supportive partner who has a very flexible work schedule as well. So we're sort of able to balance between us most of the childcare, and I'll then work from 9 o'clock in the morning until about maybe 1 p.m. And then after that, we rotate, I take the baby, and then that's it. That's my day. I basically am just trying to balance the two. If I'm behind on a deadline, I might work in the evening a little bit, which I try not to do because I know it's not great to work in the evenings, but I'm not perfect. Sometimes that happens. So the journey since becoming a mother has been interesting. I'm definitely not got a perfect balance, but I'm doing my best.
Oh, Megan, hats off! Like you, everything, like you tackle everything so perfectly. Even I'm not a married person; I'm a bachelor. But being as a freelance and an author, it sometime I feel like I have so burden in my mind. But seeing people like you, it would be very inspirational for everyone who just in their 20s, 25, and tackling freelance journey as well.
Yeah, it's tough. You have to be quite strict with your time, and in some ways I've become more productive since becoming a mother, because I know I have a very sort of fixed window when I can work. So it's like, I have to do this now or I'm not going to have time the rest of the day. So sometimes it's a healthy pressure. Yeah.
Okay, Megan, so my next question is to you. Many of our young listeners might not have heard of SaaS before. Could you explain what SaaS means in a simple way?
Yeah, of course. I didn't know what SaaS was when I started as well, and I remember thinking, what is this? So in really simple terms, SaaS stands for Software as a Service, and it's basically just talking about any tools that you use online. So it's anything you can use just from your browser without needing to download it or install it. And everyone's used it. Like if you've ever used Canva to make something look pretty, or if you've ever opened a Google Doc, then you're using SaaS. So it's everywhere, and it's how most online tools work these days.
Okay, so being as a SaaS writer, what are the brands in your field? Like you already work with them, or you are just want to reach them? Like they have the high potential in this field.
So which brands do I admire the most, or?
Which one you are admires the most?
Which brands do I admire the most? That's a good question. I've worked with some great brands who I really admire. I've worked with a company called MailerLite. They do email marketing software, and I just love their whole strategy. It's very centered around storytelling. They are really good at showcasing not just how to use the tool, but what it means to the reader. So they're very good at making it personal. Another brand I've really loved working with is a brand called Phantom Buster, and they work in web automation, and that's really interesting because it's a highly technical concept, and you're then making it accessible and making anyone think that they can use it. I think another brand that's like the king of content marketing in SaaS, I think, is probably HubSpot. They just cover every keyword you could possibly imagine to do with marketing, sales. I think they have a powerhouse team going on behind the scenes, I'm sure, and I always admire seeing what they do. So yeah, but there are so many more examples. I could talk for a long time, but those are three that come to mind.
Okay, so what exactly does a content writer do in the SaaS world? How is it different from regular writing?
So that's a good question. I would say the SaaS world is slightly different in that, well, no, maybe it's not so different. I think it's that a content writer's job in SaaS is you're trying to take all of this complicated technical stuff and you want to make it simple. You want to make sure anyone can understand it. And you're showing readers how a tool or a service can help them and make them feel confident that they can use it. And so that's maybe different from regular writing because it's not just about explaining, it's actually about guiding them through the process and making it feel easy, making it feel achievable, making the reader think, hey, I can do this.
Okay, it's great actually. And I'm really admire the work you post on LinkedIn. Like everyone I see your work, every time I see your work, I thought like how you do this. It's not look only pleasurable, it not look only good, but the content you put on the LinkedIn, it's so admirable.
Oh, thank you, that's really kind of you to say. I realized because I have a freelance business I should probably post on LinkedIn, and I wasn't feeling very inspired. And then I was thinking about AI, and I was thinking about how it's very easy to create anything with AI, but the problem is you can sometimes sense when something's been created with AI. And so I was thinking, what's a way where I could create something where people would know that it's me? And it was quite expensive, but for my birthday 2 years ago, I got one of those remarkable writing tablets. You know, they're like these paper tablets, and it's like a digital tablet, and you can basically draw and write, and it's all done by hand. And so I started just drawing my thoughts, making cartoons, writing out some of the things I think about the industry and sharing it, and people seem to really like it. So that was an interesting lesson for me, that I think the slightly imperfect, messy stuff can often resonate quite a lot when you make content, because nowadays anyone can make something that looks very polished, that looks very beautiful, but I think people are looking for the human behind that. And so that's the experiment I've been doing on LinkedIn, and it's been really fun. I've learned a lot from that.
And the thing which I am so want to know, and I'm so inquisitive about it, when you first started, do you know about content writing and SaaS marketing? and it could be like professional career for you, as like you had some thought in your mind?
No, I had no idea. So to give you some background, I've always wanted to write novels. I've always wanted to be the next J.K. Rowling and write books for a living, and that would be my thing. And I've written 2 books which haven't worked yet. So it's a long story. I'm writing a 3rd one. It's a personal creative project that I thought that was the only way to make money from writing, is if you publish a novel or you become like a super famous journalist or something. I didn't know that content writing was a thing. And I was reading a book by Jane Friedman, it's a few years old now, but I think it's still relevant. In 2016, she published a book called The Business of Being a Writer, and that's where she talked about content marketing. And that was what was in my mind when I moved to Paris, and I was realizing that I needed to make some money and how I might do it with writing. So long story short, I had no idea what content writing was, and I kind of just fell into it, and I'm very glad I did, because that's how I'm here today.
So you actually write 2 books, right? You just mentioned.
Yes, I wrote 2 novels. I've done 2. I'm working on a 3rd novel right now, which is fun.
Oh.
I can't quite talk about it yet because it's quite early days, but I hope to share about it more soon. And I'm hoping this one will be published. And if not, I might be open to self-publishing.
I just only had this thought in my mind that I am just going to hold a podcast with a content writer and the professional one. But now I know that you are a novelist like me as well. So I'm so excited.
Oh, and I as well?
Yes, I'm also a novelist, and I'm on my 2nd novel. Like you are in 3rd novel. I'm just on my 2nd novel.
Well done. That's amazing. It's hard work, isn't it?
It just is starting. Like, what skills or quality do you think are important for someone who wants to become a content writer in SaaS?
I think it's a lot of the skills that you find with a novelist, actually. It's interesting. I think you need to have an ability for storytelling, because people don't really care about a technical solution. They want to know the story behind it, and they want to know how it relates to them. So if you can tell that story, that's amazing. And then 2 other things. I think you need clarity. You need a lot of clarity. Definitely don't use big words just for the sake of it. I think that's the mistake when we're writing about tech. We want to sound clever and intelligent and advanced and show how we're the best. But for the average person reading it, that might not make any sense to them, and they'll just feel lost and confused, and then they won't want to use the tool. So I think clarity is so important. It's like what they say, just use as few words as possible, basically. And I remember at the start, when I just started my career, I remember my first boss, everything I wrote, he'd sometimes go through showing me ways I could shorten everything I was writing. And the final thing I think is just, it's really general, but like creativity, I think, because there's so many different ways to say something, and sometimes we can fall into these boxes of, we'll just do it this way because it's how we've always done it, but it's thinking outside the box and thinking of different ways to share your message that then stands out and makes people want to engage with it. So I'd say storytelling, clarity and creativity are the most important skills.
So you just you have just so many thoughts about, in the SaaS world, like creativity actually matter most. So how do you balance creativity and technical information when writing for the SaaS products?
It's tough. I don't always do it perfectly. Sometimes I go too far one way, and I think in every piece I write there's always this dynamic between the two. I think as a general rule, a framework I often follow is, if I'm explaining any concept, I'll explain it as simply as I can, and then it's about sharing an example. So that could be a story, that could be an example or a news story or a piece of data, anything that brings what I've just said to life, and then why it matters. And then that's where I can bring in a lot of creativity, I think, is when I'm explaining a concept. That's when I can think about, could I do a poll on LinkedIn to find out what people think about this? And, or I don't know, maybe could I do a personal experiment to see what this concept means? And so I think the two are very much interconnected, and I think it's always thinking about, whenever I say something, going back and thinking, well, so what, and how can I be creative in explaining why this is important? I don't know if that makes sense.
So I have just this very funny thought in my mind. Like, when I am on my first novel, you will be so excited to see the story plot of my first novel. It is basically plot in the France. The area in Frankfurt, if you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Frankfurt. So my original story is based on France, Frankfurt, and actually I'm not anyhow in my whole lifetime for now I'm not going to Paris and France, but yeah, I had this context from my publication house that you have to write on this, so I take the concept, I take the context, I just made the story about France, Paris, Frankfurt, and it like be it is be like, okay, how can I write something so imaginable? I think you should read
Yeah, that
this
sounds
story.
amazing. That sounds like such a great concept as well. There's the international element as well between Frankfurt and Paris and the two
Yeah.
cultures. So you're writing about two different cultures at the same time. That's incredible.
So I just want to know ki, what is the most beautiful thing in Paris? Like you just want to suggest to our viewers, like if you anyhow come in France and Paris, you should visit here or there.
Oh, that's a good question. There's so many. I don't know if I could choose one place. I think,
Any one place where you go personally.
yeah. Okay, there's a bookshop that I love. It's called Shakespeare and Company, and it's become quite touristy because I think a lot of people know about it now. But it's just beautiful. It's just next to Notre Dame, and you walk out of Notre Dame Cathedral, and you just see this tiny bookshop just by the water. And it's become so popular they've had to stop people from taking pictures inside because people were just going in taking pictures. But it's just like this bohemian tiny little bookshop, and it has so much character, and they've created a cafe that's just connected to it. But the problem is I don't go as much now because I think people have worked out that it's a cool place. That's the problem with cool places, is I think people realise them, and it can lose a
Yeah,
little
from
bit of
author and
value.
writer, from author and writer, what we expect, except book places, right?
Yeah.
So how has technology like AI changed the way you create content?
So it's interesting. I like to think of AI as a sort of brainstorming buddy. Like there's some writers that would say AI is killing the industry, you should never engage with it. There's other writers that use it exclusively. So I feel like there's this whole spectrum, and I put myself somewhere in the middle where I think AI is a tool. I think it's really helpful, but I would never let it take the steering wheel. I would never let it take charge, because I think the problem is some people are thinking they can just say to AI, write me an article about cybersecurity, and then they'll just copy and paste whatever they're given, and that's where the danger lies. I think the most important thing is to use it to channel your own ideas, your own research, and your own stories, and that's where I think you can create something good, because you're bringing something original, because otherwise AI is just feeding off of what already exists. So if you don't give it anything new, it's just going to keep repeating what's already been said. So I would say that AI has made me more efficient, but I've had to be very disciplined about making sure that I still retain my voice and put my story and my data and my information in, to make sure it's not going to just sound like everyone else. And so in that way I see it very much like a brainstorming buddy, because I can basically say, hey, I want to write about this, what do you think of this, is there something I'm missing? And it might say, oh, you could talk about that. And then I'll say, hey, I've done this research, can you weave this in and create an outline for me based on that? And so it can make a lot of things faster, but I have to have a lot of discipline to then not become over reliant on it, and to still keep my own writing skills very sharp. The danger is to then let it just write everything, and you kind of lose your own ability to write. And I never want to lose that discipline or that instinct. So I think it's, again, like so many things, it's a balancing act. I think it's a useful tool, but yeah. But it was interesting, because some people are saying to me now, they're saying, oh, do you think AI is going to replace what we do? And it's a valid question. It was interesting, I met someone who works in the music industry just this weekend actually, and we were talking about AI, and he was telling me that in the 90s, the music industry had this movement where the beatbox arrived, right? And it could create a perfect beat, perfect rhythm, and everyone said the beatbox is going to replace drummers in the music industry, right? And interestingly, that didn't happen, because the beatboxers were keeping a rhythm that was too perfect, and so it actually disrupted the flow of the music because it was too regulated and too fixed, where actually we need a human who's going to let the music breathe a little bit more, add some flow. And so today, obviously beatboxers have their place in the music industry, but they didn't replace the human touch. And I like to use that metaphor with AI as well. I think it's something that can enhance, it can support, but it can't replace that human flow, that human instinct.
Yeah. So are like I have my viewers who are in the age of 20 to 25 juggling with their careers. How would they start content writing and how they start storytelling to the viewers they are in touch with? So, are there any free or low cost resources, website courses, and books you recommend for the beginners?
Yeah, so I've first of all, I can say I've been there. I started when I was 23. I'm 28 now. So I've just been getting into it in the last couple of years. So I've been there when you don't quite know where to start. And that was actually why recently I've just released something which I've put together myself for people who are just getting started. It's called the Content Marketing Guide. And it's basically a beginner-friendly resource. And it covers everything from strategy to SEO, to writing blogs, newsletters, and also using AI without sounding like a robot, like using AI the right way. And I basically made it in a way that's super practical. It's jargon free because we hate buzzwords. And I also made it to come with like a Notion dashboard and templates and prompts to help people then actually do the work. So it's not just a PDF guide saying do this. It's also then got exercises at the end of each chapter to help people put it into practice. So yeah, it's available on my website at thepariswriter.com/books for any, and I've made it affordable for freelancers, students, or just anyone who wants to DIY their own marketing basically. So yeah, and there's also a sample chapter available there if people want to just have a look. So yeah, I'm biased, but that's a resource I would definitely recommend for people just getting started.
So yeah, actually this is a thing in the content writing and the field of writing like professionally, that you have to be, every time you have to be crisp with your skills. Like with this chat GPT or the AI world, there is so many resources where we work with the AI and everything, but the original writing and the emotions for which we work is actually you have to be writing on the paper and practice it regularly so that you can actually juggling with the emotions and not just depend on the AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So how can young people...
Sorry, you
Yeah. No, you get.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think, and it's something I encourage in the guide I've just published. Actually, I say to people, even if you can use the AI, I would strongly encourage people to write everything manually in the beginning, because that's how you get the instinct for what sounds good and what feels right. And I don't think you can get that if you just generate something or copy and paste it. So yeah, I agree with you.
So how can you young people start building a portfolio if they don't have professional experience yet?
I think there's this misconception that you have to have worked with a lot of brands to have a portfolio, when in actual fact you can create something right now, and you could even create a mock concept for any brand. You don't have actually had to have worked with the brand. You could just present it as, here's something I've imagined for this brand. And that can be a way of showcasing what you can do, even if you haven't had the actual experience yet. So I would say, even if you haven't yet been hired, I think it's the time to sit down, get creative, and start playing around with some ideas, and then keeping those ideas. You can create a website or a digital guide, whatever you want really, just any space where you can showcase that. So anyone who doesn't have the experience yet, I would say don't let it put you off. Don't let it put you off. Start creating something right now. Start writing a blog about anything you care about. You can already, and another thing where you don't have to wait is you can already start posting. Start posting on social media. Start sharing your story. Talk to other creators, because that is also a portfolio. And that's what we forget, is our social profiles can also be a space to showcase what we're doing. So I think my number one piece of advice would be, don't wait. Create stuff now, whatever that is, and then you already have something to share.
So it's quite interesting, Megan, that how you get your first freelancing project.
So I was really fortunate, because I had worked full-time at other brands before. I was able to reconnect with those teams and have them as my first clients. So I was really privileged. Not everyone has that privilege. That was a real advantage I had. And that's why I sometimes think before going freelance, it can be helpful to work full-time in-house somewhere, because it gives you a safe space to learn the skills, you make the connections in the network, and then afterwards you're in a strong space to then go out and freelance. But saying that, I have now started to find a lot of new clients through LinkedIn since then. So if there are people listening who maybe are going straight into freelancing and need to find clients, I think posting on LinkedIn can be a real way to stand out, because not many people do post, and the people that do post aren't, like, I think a lot of it can sound quite samey, and so if you can find a slightly creative, visual, different way to share your message, it doesn't have to be a new message, but just something that looks a bit different and catches the eye, then you can actually find attention quite quickly on LinkedIn. So I'd say anyone who is wanting to find more clients, I think start sharing a bit more on LinkedIn, especially stories, especially personal experiments, and especially original data. So you can do a poll on LinkedIn. It's super easy, even 20 responses, that tells you something about your industry. That then makes you original. You've got an insight that no one else has. Tell a story, share how you got here. That human experience really resonates. And experiment with stuff, test things and show the results, because then people can see that you're trying things in your field and you're data driven. You're not just saying stuff, you're actually testing it, trying out theories. And if you do those things with your content, that stands out. And then I would say have conversations with people. So don't just leave comments unread. Try to reply to comments very quickly. Comment on other people's things as well. And then it just makes you a real voice in your field. And at the end of the day, people remember the people they feel a connection with. So the more you're talking and engaging with people, the more you stay in their heads, basically. And again, you have to be careful not to then spend too long on LinkedIn. That's my mistake, because I then spend too long networking on LinkedIn where I should probably be working. And so that's the hard thing in freelancing, is you have to wear so many hats, and you do need to do the networking, but then you also need to create quiet space for yourself when you then do the work. So yeah.
So yeah, actually I have this personal experience. Like, I have so many actually work with so many brand as well, which is actually based in India and some sort of the foreign countries worldwide as well. But the simple myth along everyone who just want to work in this field, that it is not so much payable field, where we get not so much payment, or we can say that writer not get desirable payment what they want actually. But I just want to ask you this question, that how would you burst this myth, that if you write good enough, that this field is actually the well off, they paid you well off?
Yeah, I think you're right. It can be a real misconception in that people assume that writers are badly paid, and especially now with ChatGPT, people are thinking, well, why are you still here? We don't need you anymore. And the comparison I like to make is, I think you always need to remember that people trying to do their own content and their own writing, it's like trying to make a Hollywood movie with AI generated videos. It might happen in 20 years. I can't see it happening right now. Like, it's not going to look right. It's going to look a bit off. And so I think in the same way, writers, we're creating the real thing that really stands out. And I think writers should not undersell the value that they bring. I think they should really have that confidence to say, no, I can do this. I have this unique skill set. I know how to tell a story. I know how to use words in a way that resonates, that makes people care. And that's a skill. I mean, it's a combination of marketing, business, psychology, all of these things rolled into one package basically, and that's premium level of expertise. And so it was interesting, I did a study on LinkedIn recently to find out how much writers are earning, and I was really shocked to find that a lot of them don't earn as much, and some of them might be working two jobs. That happens, so I know there is nuance. But I would say the main takeaway I learned from it is I was surprised that not all writers are earning as much as I thought they would be, and it made me realize that I think writers need to not underestimate their value. They need to know that AI is actually often making a bit of a mess when it's being used by people who don't know how to use it. And also, finally, to just never sit still. I think sometimes we have this way where we can sort of stay in one place with the same client, when actually we should be going out looking for new people, raising prices every year, keeping it very dynamic and not staying stuck in one place. And it takes a lot of confidence to do that. Like, it takes confidence to say, I am worth this amount. But actually that confidence then shows you to be a premium service, whereas if you go in at a lower price, people assume the quality is less good. So yeah, it takes confidence, but it's so important.
Yeah, so here's a cultural fun segment with you, Megan. Have you encountered any funny or interesting myth about India?
Myths about India. I don't know about myths.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any myths. Because I have a few friends from India, so I feel like it's been great growing up with them because I feel like I have a bit of a window into what India is like. So I can't think of any myths. But some of the stories I've loved hearing about Indian weddings. Like, I have a friend who's going to get married in India next year, and he was telling me all about the ceremony, and I couldn't believe how long the ceremonies are. Like, it's a few hours, right, often, and then you'll spend a few days, and also the number
No.
of people who are invited.
No, it's
Oh,
not
sorry.
a few hours. It's not a few hours, Megan. It's a few days.
Well, yeah. I mean, the ceremony is like a few hours, and then you have the party that's like
Yeah.
a few days, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love hearing about Indian weddings. Yeah, you would know way better than me. Just how
Okay,
extravagant
so-
and fun it is.
I give you advance invitation whenever my wedding is here in India. Would you come?
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you. I would love that.
Would you be my guest?
I would love that. I have a baby, but if it could work with the baby, then I would love to come to India one day.
Okay.
But yeah, I love hearing
So-
about Indian weddings. It sounds magic. So I've always enjoyed stories.
Or France, I just want to encounter any funny or interesting myth as well in France that you want to share.
What about in France? What is myth about France? I think everyone thinks that people in France go around wearing berets. You know those little hats that have like the little point?
Yeah.
You know the fashion thing? I think I had believed that all Parisians go around wearing a stripy top, right? And that they all wear a beret. And I only ever saw tourists dressed like that. So
Oh.
I feel like there's like this cliche of like how people think the French people dress and how they actually dress. So that's been very funny. But I like how, something I've really liked in France is I like how honest people are. Like they're very direct, and I'm British. British people, we want to be very polite, and we're sometimes a bit afraid to say things, whereas in France they're very like, they say it how it is. And I mean, sometimes it can be too much as well, but equally I think it's taught me to be a bit more confident and a bit more straightforward in how I speak. So I think there's a lot to learn from the French as well.
And one thing that you love about French culture.
I love the history. I think they have a very interesting history, and especially living in Paris, you're just surrounded by it every day. So I really enjoy that. It's like living in a big story, and it's crazy to just walk down the street and think of everything that happened there. Like there's a big square called Place de Concorde, and I don't want any French historians to come after me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where like the guillotine was, and where like the kings and queens of France were executed, and I'm just walking through the square at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I'm like, all this crazy stuff happened here. Like, so I love being in a city that's full of stories, and that's been really fun.
Oh yeah, that's great. Now come to the rapid fire round. Did you anyhow try the Indian food?
Yeah, I always go for Indian takeaway with my family when I'm home in the UK. We have it like once a week. I have to tell you, I'm a spice wimp. Like, I'm not very good with spice. I'm terrible. So I'm always the person that has the korma. But I love a chicken korma. I love Peshwari naan bread. It's just the best. So yeah, I love Indian food, but not very spicy, I'm afraid.
Okay, it's a very spicy food. Like, yeah. One myth you have about India before visiting or working, like you have just this opportunity to work with Indian client. So there is one myth always around you in your mind. So what it would be?
That's a good question. I don't know. Truthfully, I haven't worked with Indian clients yet, so I don't know. I think I'm open-minded. I mean, I've worked with a lot of different cultures, so I haven't been able to notice anything different yet. I think I'll have to wait to have my first Indian client to answer that one. So I'll come back to you.
Like I have this thing in my mind. Whenever we get the foreign client, or whenever we get the international client, we can say that. So we people are just so happy that international clients are so kindly that they paid us enough without questioning so much.
Really?
And obviously we get paid in dollars, so it will be like cherry on the cake.
Yeah. So do you prefer having international clients then?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah.
So yeah, my next question is, what is your favorite French food?
It's so basic, but I love the baguettes. like
Oh.
French baguette. It's like the best bread in the world. Just amazing. So good.
Okay. So favorite SaaS tool you use daily?
Ooh, I really like Notion. It's like an online space where you can organize your tasks, build calendars. It's like almost like an online journal portfolio planning center. You can kind of turn it into anything you want. So I really love Notion.
Okay. So my next question is the best way to relax after a busy workday.
I think get outside. I think we spend a lot of time in front of a screen, so I've noticed the days when I'm not feeling so good, it's often because I haven't really moved and I haven't been out. So I think advice to all writers is try and get out of the house and do something other than write. Otherwise, you get tired very fast.
One book or movie every young person should check out.
So my favourite book for writers it's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And she talks about creativity, where do ideas come from, how do we tap into that and find that part of ourselves that is most creative. And it's very easy to read. And it almost taps into a slightly spiritual angle of creativity and thinking about how do ideas find us, what is the magic going on behind here, and she calls it Big Magic. And I really enjoyed reading it and I'd always recommend it. So yeah, Big Magic.
Okay, now Megan, where can our listener find you online and learn more about your work?
So I'm active on LinkedIn. You can find me at Megan Bouton, Megan Megn Bouton Bouton, and I have a website that's called thepariswriter.com, and there I have a newsletter, and that's where you can learn more about my services, and it's also where you can buy my content marketing guide if you'd like to learn more.
So yeah, any final word of encouragement for the young dreamer listening today?
I think the biggest piece of advice I could give to anyone listening is to have fun. Because when you're creating content, people can sense the difference. You can sense when someone has enjoyed what they've created, put time into it and had fun. I think people can tell. So I think whatever you do, make sure you're enjoying what you're creating. And if you're not enjoying it, ask yourself why and ask yourself how you can make it more fun. Because that's where I think the most creative, magical part of ourselves comes out.
The last question, which is for which I'm very exciting to know about French culture. Like whenever you meet some new people, how you greet them?
So in France we say bonjour and then we do a kiss on both cheeks. And it's very important you kiss on the cheek. Like you can't kiss in the air, you have to really kiss on the cheek. And that was funny to me when I first arrived, but I'm used to it now. But you kiss everyone kisses, so that's quite funny.
Do you know how in India we greet new people?
No?
We all only say namaste.
Namaste, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so here is final insight into SaaS and content writing have truly been masterclass in blending storytelling with strategy. If you are looking to turn your software into a story that sells Megan, the voice to follow, stay tuned for more inspiring conversation and don't forget to connect with Megan for all things content, clarity and conversion. So yeah, that is for all for today. And if you want the inspiring podcast with the writer like Megan, so do follow our channel and do follow this Kahani series. Thank you for watching, and from this Shweta is signing off.